Hi, my name is Nancy Love, and I'm making this video on behalf of the Planet Peace Project, but I'm also making it on behalf of you. If you're someone that this sort of thing can happen to, you need to know about it and that it's a very real threat for people who seek housing or even temporary lodging when they're on vacation. And I've made other videos about this. I'll try to remember to put the links to those videos below. But it's also relevant to you if you're a criminal and one of the people who's doing this because we got you made and you're not going to get away with it. In 2006 on Christmas Day, I accidentally happened to overhear some guy at a Christmas party talking about knowing where some children were being held captive in Hawaii. I was in LA at the time. Not anymore. And he started laughing. He was drunk and stupid and laughing about horrible ways that these children were being victimized. They were primarily from Indonesia, Cambodia, Vietnam, and parts of that part of the world. And by January of 2007, I was on a path of helping the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Drug Enforcement Agency, the precursors to Homeland Security, and Interpol, and so forth, trying to find those kids and free them. That did happen in late 2007. The FBI busted that encampment and got those kids to safety. And they're grown up and they're all right now. But I'm not. In 2019, I talked to the FBI again. I've stayed in contact with those folks for years. And we talked about another handful of people that might be involved or that said they were, that were claiming to be involved in this kind of thing. International human trafficking, and they're also selling drugs and they're selling weapons. So basically, funding international terrorist acts and selling human beings. Not the kind of people you want to know, but in only 3 weeks, the FBI got back to me and they tried to hire me. They said, finally, will you just come work for us so we can pay you for all this instead of just you being a civilian informant and talking to us about it and being suffering. But they said they had come up with more than 1,000 criminal cohorts of only 30 or 40 people that we actually discussed. And that's the short list. These people live in the United States of America for the most part that I know of, but they're working across international boundaries to sell drugs, slaves, and weapons. And that's why I'm finally going to explain to you, if you haven't figured it out by now, why I'm essentially targeted for crime and have suffered so horribly in many ways. My pets were taken and tormented. My legs were disabled, and I haven't been able to stand or walk since 2017. My face was smashed in at one point by some of these people. And my financial and professional goals have been hazarded as well. And I do want you to know one thing about me, that I would rather have my cats back than be able to walk. I would rather have my cats back and safe and alive than, not having had my face smashed in or having my professional and financial goals destroyed. I'm as intelligent, as capable, and as motivated as anybody who's ever lived. I have a good education and a lot of business experience, but I have been what they call kept down and moving for a long time now, and I have struggled really mightily to try to talk some sense into some of these people. Most of them are on drugs, and perpetuate the myth that that's a good thing. But can you imagine trying to convince more than 1,000 people who are drug addicts and drug dealers to not do that and not to sell people and guns when they're using brains that are addicted to drugs while you're trying to talk some sense into them? when I've been compassionate, when I've played the role of, psychologist or whatever to these people, helpful counselor instead of screaming crime victim, they try to understand me, and some of them have cried on me, and some of them have said that they've given up cocaine or heroin or some other thing that they were on. Or one person said that she and her husband were on 7 different drugs that they knew of, not counting alcohol, and they were trying to get clean. Some people have said I've really helped them just by trying to be compassionate and understanding as a psychologist and as a human being, as a spiritual person who believes that we all eventually have to get well to get back to God. But this whole situation where you're trying to help people who can't even really get through a day without substance abuse, and the brain that they're trying to listen to you with is the same brain that's been addled by these drugs. It's very challenging, and it's not my fault. A drug addict can't hear me, and when I scream at them or even say quietly and kindly, please stop being a criminal. Please stop drugging, raping, and trafficking people who aren't prostitutes. Please stop selling children to pedophiles. Please stop selling guns to kids who might shoot other kids at schools. Please stop money laundering for international cabals of terrorist jerks. Please be a better you. And if all they hear is, all they're thinking about while you're trying to tell them that this is really good advice is, all they're thinking about is when they're going to get their next fix and why don't you get out of their way because you're not helping them get that brain satisfaction of their next chemical fix or whatever. It's just very, very hard. This is part one. I'm going to make part two in a minute, but part two gives some specific ideas that you all need to look out for, and some really good advice from the standpoint of all too personal experience, as well as stuff I've learned from police officers.